I grew up in Oak Ridge, and I was well aware of Alvin Weinberg as a respected scientific leader. I think there was even an aura of fame about him that I perceived, although I didn't have any personal connections with him at the time. And my first peek at Alvin's humanity, I remember being at a Christmas party, and Alvin was playing the piano and leading the Christmas carols. And I had no idea he was a musician and willing to sit down in a group and play the piano, and that really impressed me a lot. There were many other ways over the years that demonstrated itself. In the early 70s, the house I'm sitting in now burned down, and Alvin talked to his assistant and said he wanted to send us a gift, and he wanted it to be very special. And somehow he knew that one of my favorite potters was Charles Counts, who grew up in Oak Ridge as well. And he gave us a gift of a lovely vertical vase that Charles Counts did, and I still have it. And I was so touched that he took that time, and he knew what it was that I would appreciate, or we would appreciate. So, I did work at ORNL for a couple of periods. First, right after I got married, and then again after my kids were in school. And you showed that video about the berm and my work with the census. And I do remember that if there was ever an occasion to present, it was usually Alvin on the front row, so you were very conscious that he was there. At the time, Herman was made director of the thermonuclear division, and that Herman, my husband, I was really proud that he had achieved that. He loved his job, but I didn't really know the ins and outs of his doing that. And later, of course, after he was the director of the thermonuclear division, and Alvin left, Herman became the new director. And Herman died in early 2004. This was back in the 70s, I guess, when he was made director of the lab. And when Herman died, Alvin wrote me a note. And he said, it was just a lovely note. And he said, he wanted me to know that he had chosen Herman to be the director of the thermonuclear division because of his emotional IQ. And that's interesting because one of Alvin's relatives, possibly a brother-in-law, I'm not sure, Daniel Goldman, introduced this idea of emotional IQ. And so while this was before his book was published, I think Alvin was well aware of that. And he went on to say that Herman was an administrator without equal. He was really terrific. And that was something I had no idea, and I was really touched that he would mention that and want me to know that. Alvin got Herman to be engaged in the Bell, and asked him to be chairman of the International Friendship Bell, and get that pavilion built and get that bell hung. And Herman took that up. I don't know that he would have done that if Alvin hadn't asked him. But I was back there cheering them both on. And because I know how much it meant to both of them, it was really important to me to be part of the rebuilding of the Bell House, the new pavilion, when that came up. So I owe that in part to Alvin and in part to Herman. After that, was in the early, I guess about 2003, we were working on a new high school that ORNL had been instrumental in pushing the town toward. And Herman and I had agreed to do that together. Unfortunately, he died almost as soon as we had agreed to do that, and I decided to go on with that. And one of the people I had talked to about contributing to funds to replace the Bell House was Alvin Weinberg, and he hadn't really made up his mind or responded to me. And shortly after that, I was invited to a Christmas party, and Alvin was there. And at some point he said, I'd like to talk to you. Would you come down and sit here with me? And I thought he was going to talk about the high school fundraising, and he didn't. He looked at me and he said, I want you to know how important it is that you get married again. It will make all the difference in the rest of the years that you have. I was astounded. I wasn't offended. I just was so unprepared for that. And I look back now and I think about Alvin and his life after he got married, after his wife died. I know exactly what he was trying to tell me, and he was right. So he's just a very special person in every way, and I respect the person he is. I didn't have the science connection, but I think we were lucky to know him and lucky to have him here as long as he did.